Hello there, students. Thank you for being part of this presentation today. My name is Luis Silva. I am your American government teacher. And today we are going to be focusing on the legislative branch, Article 1, Congress. Before we continue going, let's review some of the information that you know already. And this is that the federal government, the national government, is divided in three branches. The first branch is the legislative branch, which is also known as the Congress. The second branch is the executive branch. This branch is led by the president. And the last branch is the judicial branch, which is the Supreme Court. For this particular instance, we are going to be focusing on the legislative branch. This is the building where all members of Congress have to meet to legislate for the nation. And the building is known as the Capitol building. And Congress meets here basically to do the people's business. They meet here to pass laws. If you can see on the left-hand side is the House chamber for the House of Representatives for a total of 435 members. If you see to the left is the Senate chamber, which is made up of 100 senators for a total of 535 members of Congress. This is the interior part of the House of Representatives. As you can see, it has a whole bunch of space to basically sit many people in there. And this is the Senate, which is a smaller chamber, which houses about, or in this case, 100 senators. Now, the House of Representatives, the term is 2 years for each member of the House of Representatives. By the way, they can get reelected. The qualifications, first, they have to be at least 25 years old. They have to have been U.S. citizens for at least 7 years, and they have to be residents of represented states. Like we mentioned before, the number of representatives is 435 members. The head of the House of Representatives is the Speaker of the House. The Speaker decides the committees each member will serve on, decides the order in which bills will be heard. The Speaker of the House is extremely powerful because he or she can decide what bills will be actually brought forth to be voted on, and what bills will not be brought to the House floor to be voted on. This can actually kill any legislation that could be in there. For example, if the Speaker of the House does not like the laws on immigration or a law on immigration and he or she does not want to hear it, guess what? That legislation is dead, and it's a very powerful position. Special powers of the House of Representatives. All money appropriations bill start here. The House of Representatives has the power of the money. The House of Representatives can vote and provide money to the president to carry out its powers. So it's a very powerful position. First, of the House of Representatives, of the Speaker of the House, as they, or in this case, the House of Representatives can actually dictate how much money it goes into different programs. Now, the House of Representatives also can select a president in an electoral college tie. This means that if both candidates are tied at the end of a national election, it is the House of Representatives that decides who becomes the United States president. This is interesting because if the ruling party is a Republican party, this means that most likely they will elect the Republican candidate and forget about the Democrat candidate. So they have a lot of power in this case, the House of Representatives. The House of Representatives can also write the article of impeachment against high-ranking officials. We just had, not too long ago, the House of Representatives write article of impeachment against President Donald Trump. Moving on, in this case, to the Senate. The Senate actually has longer terms. In this case, each senator serves for 6 years. The qualifications are that the senator or the person running to become a senator has to be at least 30 years old, has to be or have been citizen of the United States for at least 9 years, and resident of the represented state. The Senate has 100 members. The head of the Senate is the United States President. The day-to-day head of the Senate is the President pro tempore. This is interesting because in this case, the Vice President does not necessarily get in the Senate, so it is basically the President pro tempore, that one that deals with everything that goes on inside the Senate. Powers, decides committee members, and the orders bills are debated. Once again, this is another very powerful institution because the Senate as well as the House of Representatives must be in agreement in order to pass whatever bill is out there. If the House passes a bill but the Senate does not agree, that bill does not go anywhere, and vice versa. If the Senate passes a bill and the House of Representatives does not agree with it, that bill is not going anywhere, basically. Special powers of the Senate: approves all treaties, approves all appointments. In this case, if the president decides to fulfill a vacancy in the Supreme Court, and in this case, the Senate would be the one that would be given the consent or the okay to that particular candidate to be part of the Supreme Court or not to be part of the Supreme Court. The Senate chooses the Vice President in an electoral college tie. Remember, the House of Representatives elects the President in case there is a tie in the electoral college. The Senate is in charge of electing the Vice President if there is an electoral college tie. Acts as the jury in all trials of impeachment. As we saw not too long ago, President Trump was impeached by the House of Representatives, but it was the Senate who was in charge of basically formally ending the impeachment process of guilty or not guilty. In this case, the 100 senators become part of the jury that decide the fate of the President of the United States. Congress, now this is for both houses, must keep a journal, the congressional record, must hold sessions at the same time. Sessions begin January 3rd each year and continue throughout the year. 2 sessions make up a term. We are currently in the 116th Congress. Must have a quorum to do business. 51% or more of the members must be present in the floor in order to conduct business in Congress. Now, again, continuing on with the Congress, both houses make their own rules for behavior and punishments. Censure is basically formally a reprimand written in the record. Fines and penalties may be set for some bad ways of behaving. Expulsion is when members with gross misconduct may be thrown out of office. If the congressman or woman does something that's completely inappropriate, they can be basically kicked out. Privileges and compensations of Congress members. The salary of congressmen or women in this case is $174,000 per year, plus medical and dental benefits, free office, parking, and trips to home state. Staff budget, they get money for their staff, tax breaks, and second home. The Franklin privilege, they also get free postage on all mail to constituents. Continuing with privileges and compensation of Congress members. As you can see here, we have a breakdown of the Senate leadership as well as the House leadership, and they get paid significantly other than the other members. This is really important because obviously these people have been there for quite some time, and they are leaders of their individual or their parties. I'm not going to go over all of the numbers here, but you can see them for yourself. There are significant numbers for anybody, basically. Now, privilege and compensation of Congress members. Immunity or legal protection. Cannot be sued of anything if they saw or write while carrying out their duties. Cannot be arrested for minor offenses while Congress is in session. May not hold in other political office at the same time. Now, powers of the Congress. The Congress can raise and collect taxes, borrow money, regulate commerce, set laws for naturalization and bankruptcy, coin money, punish counterfeiting, post office, copyright and patents, set up courts, declare war, establish the military and National Guard, make rules and allot funds for the military and National Guard, run Washington, D.C. and all federal property, and obviously use the elastic clause or implied powers. Now, the elastic clause is really important in order for Congress to do its job. It is also known as the necessary and proper clause, as it gives Congress the power to make laws necessary and proper to carry out the delegated duties, also known obviously as the elastic clause. This clause can actually extend the powers, stretch the powers of Congress, and obviously sometimes Congress does use it because, the Founding Fathers did not mention each power, one by one, but instead they added this clause because they knew that something would come up that is not written in the Constitution. So this gives Congress the power to actually use or do what it needs in order to continue running the country. Now, powers denied to Congress. Congress cannot suspend the writ of habeas corpus, must show cause for holding a suspect except in wartime. No ex post facto law. Cannot punish a person for an act committed before there was a law against it. No bills of attainder. Cannot deny someone the right to a jury trial. Continuing on with powers denied to Congress. No tax on exports. All states must be treated the same. And there are no titles of nobility. Now, I do want to talk, and we're kind of gonna move on to our current political structure. And as you can see here, you have the 115th Congress and you have the 116th Congress here, and one goes back to 2016 and the other one goes starts on 2018. Both the Senate as well as the House of Representatives. You can see here a breakdown of how the power shifted from, especially in the House of Representatives, from 2016 to 2018. You're more than welcome to pause this video in order to see all the or how everything changed. The historic 116th Congress. The elections of 2018 were extremely significant because for the first time, it brought a whole bunch of minorities into the United States Congress. The idea behind, obviously, having a whole bunch of minorities in the Congress is important because Congress is supposed to represent the makeup of the country in terms of minorities. And this particular Congress brought 126 women into Congress, 37 Hispanic caucus members, 5 LGBTQ, 55 Black caucus members, 20 Asian American Pacific Islander members, and 2 Native Americans. Very important, again, because it brought more minorities into the Congress to represent the diversity within the United States. This is the end of this presentation. I hope you learned a lot from it, and please make sure to subscribe in order for you to continue to receive and hear lessons related to social studies, related to U.S. history, related to U.S. government, as well as economics.